Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video, and we got a good one today. And I got a new thing to show you. First of all, before we get started with any shooting, is I got this Kevlar sheet. We finally got something for the trap to help keep from tearing these old sheets of mine that I've had here for a while. And they do pretty well because most of the impact will poke into the sheet and it gives. But it did start eating holes in some of the sheets, especially the ones on the top here and the green ones. But I went ahead and got a Kevlar sheet. I think this will solve all the problems, and it makes a nice big yellow target, which is good for us to be able to see what we're doing here. And today we're gonna pick back up with the target that we left off with last time with the TCP. There's still a lot of empty space here on this hard metal target. See, I can just barely dent it by hitting it with my thumb. So we're gonna hit this with the VKS today, and we're gonna see what it'll do. I haven't shot it in several weeks, and so I'm curious to see what it is today. And we're gonna be shooting the Joules V2s, and we're gonna first I'm gonna take this down. We're gonna do a chrono to just see what the power is. And then I'm going to put this back up, and we're gonna go to town on that. Okay, I'm here with the VKS. I've given it a little bit more power. I thought it was a little bit on the low side, so I've given it a few more turns. Let's see how it does. That's 383. .377. So you can see it's got pretty good power right now as it is. All right, so I have now put the target back up. This is going to be the metal sheet. We got the VKS. I just showed you the on the chronograph how it's shooting. This will be a little easier. I'm not going to try to chronograph it. I'm going to try to get on target, and let's see what kind of destruction we can do to the metal sheet. Right, it's recharged. Now you can see that those are all just going right through. It's creating a lot of holes. Really nice. I think I'm getting low on air. So I think we'll stop there. Go take a look. All right, here we are back up at the trap, and you can see now what kind of damage we did. There was two holes here, and there was a big hole up here. And then there were some minor little holes over here from previous. So most of the new shots were going through over here and blowing out this section here. So this was a new shot. This was a new shot, new shot, new shot, new shot. So you can see how with the VKS at a higher power, it consistently will penetrate this metal sheet and really punch. And so that's a really good example of the power of the VKS compared to the TCP. And of course, this is a lot higher joules that we're shooting with the VKS. And it looks like my Kevlar sheet held up really well. There's not a scratch, so really happy with that. All right, I've got our target here, and I've had a chance to look at the video, and I think I understand everything. These were the two shots from the TCP. This was the big hole from the TCP from last time. And then this time there were a total of 6 shots. There was 1, 2, 3. Here's 2 shots, 4, 5, and number 6 is up here. Every shot went through. This was the only one that was basically in the same hole, but you can see that they were just side by side. But these were all individual single shots. So every single shot at high power with the VKS was a penetrating shot. Whereas with the TCP, the first shots, maybe the first 2 shots you can get in. And then up here, I think it took an accumulation of several shots in order to get through. So I think we learned something here, and I think this is a good test of the ability to penetrate So it turns out that last one was not a, because I was out of air, it was an air shot because I ran out of projectiles. I lost track of my count, and I think that's an important lesson to keep in mind with the VKS. Even though I have a 15-round mag here, I did a few pilot shots, and I came up short on my shots. So air shots are very dangerous with this because the boat is going very fast, and without a projectile to provide some back pressure, you can have the boat go too fast. So just to be safe, I'm going to do a couple shots here. I'm going to be doing maintenance on this very soon, but I'm going to do a couple more chrono shots. So let's see what we get. Okay, I'm ready. It's definitely awkward holding this and the chrono. 373. Hope you can see that. All right, we'll do one more. I think it's been fairly consistent throughout. 372. So you can see it's pretty consistent in terms of the FPS. Bleed the line, and that'll be it. Okay, so I'm back here. That was the VKS shooting I think that's somewhere in the 50 joule range. I'll be posting the actual joules up on the video to help everybody out. But this is definitely a high power launcher. These are really dangerous levels. I don't normally keep it at 50 joules, but I just wanted to show the potential. And so I think I was able to make that point and show the consistency and some of the damage that you can get relative to what you get maybe from your first shot or your second shot from a TCP. Obviously, there are a lot of things you can do to a TCP to bring those up and make it more consistent across a whole mag. As promised, I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of my experience with this Pepperball VKS over the last year. I bought this in January of last year, so it's been one full year of use, and I've put a lot of rounds through it as well, just like the TCP, which I've had a year and a half. And the VKS, right out of the box, I didn't waste any time, unlike the TCP, where I spent a lot of time with pepper balls and lower velocities. Here, I went right up into the 30 joule range right away. If you look back at some of the old videos from Chia Nature, and he went with the T4.1, which is of the lineage from the Tiberius T4, T4.1 through Tiberius, and then the First Strike, and then now this is the Pepperball brand, which is also part of First Strike, and Pepperball are part of a larger company called United Tactical Services, so UTS. So this is basically the same as the T4.1 that he used, and in his shooting somewhere in the low 30s, 33, 34 joules, he started to blow the O-ring. And so I would recommend anyone just from day one upgrade the O-ring to the mil-seg O-ring in the heat core in the firing bolt, and then you won't have any issues with losing air from blowing your O-ring, and that's certainly not anything that you want to mess around with for self-defense purposes. And so I did that, and I've been shooting it in the 30 joule range, and most of my shots over the last year have been in the 30 joule range, a smaller percentage in the 40 joule range, and an even smaller percentage in the 50 joule range. So what I showed you with the shooting here in the 50 joule range is not the norm for me. So my experience over the last year in terms of reliability has been based on a more mid-30s, high 30s joule range, and more recently I've been keeping it right at about 40 joules. I would not recommend shooting this routinely at 50 joules plus. It can definitely do it, but there are issues that will arise, and people are encountering that who are buying these right now out of the box, putting 200 rounds through them at 50 joules, and the firing pin is having issues. Now, I haven't had that issue, and there's probably a couple reasons. One of which is I bought this a year ago, and it's not one of the newer versions, so it might be a quality control issue that wasn't a problem then, but it may be a more recent issue. Alternatively, it could be that it's always an issue, and if I ran this at 50 joules, a few more shots, I may have a problem. I'm going to be breaking it down soon and taking a look, and then I'll see how it looks. But I haven't had any issues so far with firing. But I've also been on the conservative side in terms of my use. The other is that it's a marker that's not designed to be shot over roughly 28 joules is what they use it for. But if you really think about it, Pepperball must know that when they're selling this to military and police, that it is capable of being tuned up. All you got to do is turn up the velocity screw, so it can go up to a lot higher joules than they advertise. And so you would think they would take that into account when they do put in the pins into the firing bolt, and they take that into account. So I'm leaning toward it being more of a quality control issue that's a more current issue for people that have purchased them in the last couple months, because I haven't had any troubles, and I haven't heard of anyone who purchased one a year ago having the same issue, but only time will tell as far as that. But this thing has been great. I haven't had any issues. I haven't had a single jam. There really are no problems with this if you run it, take care of it. Again, it's like the TCP. You have to break it down, lube it, do all of the routine maintenance. One thing I don't like is the mag well is really tight when you insert the mag. If you're not perfect getting it in there, you can lose all of your rounds. And so you really have to practice and get that down, and it takes a little bit of practice. This tank is great. It's a 13 CI tank, and I just use a hand pump. I pump it up, and it's been working great for me. I pump it up once it gets down around 1,000 PSI, I'll crank it up. I'll pump it up. And I don't put a lot of effort on the furniture on this. For the first 9 months, it was basically just naked. I care more about what's internal and the mechanisms of how it works and how it can be reliable. And of course, over time, maybe I'll also start to put higher end products on it when I feel like it's necessary. But right now, I put all of my effort in understanding what happens right here. And that's what I'm gonna spend more time talking about later. But I haven't had any issues. All I have done is upgraded the O-ring in the firing bolt. I've upgraded all of the other O-rings, and I'll describe that in a later video. And I have done some things to the regulator that I've done in the TCP and the VKS, doing some shimming. But other than that, it's completely stock, and I run the 850 PSI tank, and it has been very reliable. So I really have no complaints about the VKS at this point. But if you want a high-end marker that doesn't require anything but out of the box, upgrade the O-ring and turn the velocity screw, and you can hit 50 joules, then this is it.